Brendan should get $20 or $20,000 based on what what you just do. You just trust them to be honest about how destroyed his house is. But on the positive note, speaking of centralized bureaucracy and the gutting of certain agencies, if you think that's a positive thing, come back after the break and Cindy will tell us how the CDC is getting gutted. Or gutted? Is that the right word? It's getting refreshed, upgraded.
Hopefully
updated. Yeah. That's a better word. Come back after the break. We'll talk about that. Updated is better than up.
Peace treaties being brokered between Israel and certain Arab neighbors as this regime, as you laid out, is just completely toppled, and that Iranian ring of fire collapses before our eyes. It seems like there are endless possibilities now, and it's really a new day.
Absolutely. It reminds me, actually, just mentioned when I immigrated at the end of the Cold War, when basically Lech Walesa in Poland, and then the opposition in Czechoslovakia, President Havel, when they rose and started to work towards freedom, it was a domino effect. We saw what happened. And you had a reformer inside the Soviet Union, Gorbachev, who made the mistake of trying to restructure something that was authoritarian. All of that is part of history. A lot of similarities. If the Khomeini regime of Iran starts to shake and starts to go down under the strikes of the Israelis and soon to be, because of the massive demonstrations that will take place eventually, this will have an impact on all countries in the Middle East. All countries where you have jihadi forces. And you mentioned too, Lebanon has still a significant Hezbollah force sitting in Lebanon, intimidating, targeting, and terrorizing the population. Israel cut Hezbollah in two. So Hezbollah cannot wage a war against Israel, but it can wage a war against the population in Lebanon. But when that regime, if and when that regime starts to go down, then the population of Lebanon, the army of Lebanon, will be the one to push back against that militia. In Syria, it's more complicated, but Syria has a huge jihadi force. As ISIS, it has another force that says, well, I'm going to try to reform. We will see. There is the persecution of Christian minorities and Alawis and Druze in Syria. All of that will be affected by the events that are going to unfold in Iran.
Wow, Waleed, great breakdown all around, my friend. You've been talking about this, writing about it for years. Now it's happening. God bless, my friend. Great to see you, Dr. Waleed Phares. We will see you again soon. Keep up the great work. And we've been saying, folks, throughout this 90-minute special report here on TBN that at the end of the day, this is really a spiritual battle unfolding in the Middle East right now. No one knows that better than our good friend, Pastor Alan Jackson, host, of course, of Alan Jackson Now, seen right here on TBN every weeknight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Alan, great to see you. And by the way, let's not bury the lead. You were literally about to board a plane to Israel, take a group there when this all broke down. Tell us what happened.
Well, Kathy and I were packing our bags last evening, and we had the news on in the background, and we heard the announcements of the attack. And so we kind of halted our packing process and stopped and watched the news for the evening. And we're notified when we heard that they closed the Israeli airspace, we knew that our travel plans are going to be suspended for a bit. But it was certainly a good motivation to pray through the evening. So it's exciting to see what's happening. God's moving.
Yeah, and that was a large group you were taking. Hey, hopefully it is rescheduled very soon, because it seems, Pastor, that look, when the dust settles here, it's going to be a very different Middle East. I believe Israel is going to emerge from this more secure, and by extension, the West will be more secure now that we don't have, God willing, a nuclear Iran by the end of all this. How do you see it playing out?
Well, I think first and foremost, I see it as an answer to the prayers. I think anybody who has the Christians who have a heart for Jerusalem have been praying for the peace of Jerusalem. And in order for that to be established in any significant way, something had to happen with Iran. They've been the state sponsor of terrorism throughout the Middle East for decades, and the United States has not been willing to really unleash the Israelis to do anything about it. And so I think there's really a sovereign expression of the mercy and grace of God for the inhabitants of Israel. When we watched the news last night, I was reminded of Revelation 5:5. I doubt everybody remembers it, but it's this vision of John, and there's a scroll that has the story of Revelation, but there's nobody to open it. And John begins to weep. And the message to him is, don't weep. The Lion of the tribe of Judah has triumphed. And I believe that's a bit of what we're seeing is an expression of the triumph of the Lion of the tribe of Judah. I mean, this is Operation Rising Lion, after all, but named the Israelis. And I believe it is an expression of victory. I don't believe it should be overlooked that in the book of Revelation, Jesus is referred to as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He's not the head of the church, although that's an accurate description of who he is biblically. Even at the end of the New Testament, he's still identified with the Jewish people. And I think we're seeing God keep his covenant, his promise to the Jewish people in what's happening in these international events that are playing out on our television screens. So I think it's a time of hope. I think it's a time of understanding God is moving, and I think he's going to bring new freedom to the Jewish people. I'm excited to get to be a part of it, at least, and watch it from a distance.
Yeah, Pastor, great breakdown as always. You know, it looks peaceful. You see the footage there, folks, right now on your screens. Jerusalem, God's one and only city, one and only holy city. Tel Aviv, the second largest city in Israel, looks so peaceful right now. But not too long ago, missiles were flying over those cities and over Israel. This is only just beginning. But as Pastor Jackson said, I think we are approaching a great breakthrough here for the Jewish people, for the land of Israel. And Alan, also, what about the church? What about the body of Christ in America here in particular? What should our posture be in all of this? How can we make our voices heard?
Well, I don't think it's particularly complicated. We're indebted to the Jewish people. You know, our Messiah is an observant Jewish rabbi. Without the Jewish people, we have no covenants, we have no story, we have no Messiah. We wouldn't know the character of God. So we're indebted to them, but we've kind of buried the lead on that in the Christian church in our own arrogance and pride. And we've seen anti-Semitism flourishing in America, not in history, but in recent weeks and months. And I think that's the assignment of the church. We're salt and light, and we've got to push back on that. So what we're watching isn't primarily a geopolitical battle or an ideological battle or even a religious battle. It's a spiritual battle. Anti-Semitism is fueled by Satan himself. It's a spirit, and the spirit behind anti-Semitism is the spirit of Antichrist. And I believe what every Christian should understand is the same spirit that drives the hatred of the Jewish people will ultimately drive the hatred and persecution of the Christian church. So it's